The woman, who's a U.S. citizen, is accused of threatening to shoot federal law enforcement agents right on her property.
And that woman is right here. Her name is Linet, and she is an American citizen. However, her husband is not an American citizen.
But investigators say that he is in the country illegally and failed to comply with an order to return to Iran in 2013.
So there's a lot going on here. We have a legal American citizen who's threatening to take out Homeland Security agents to protect her husband, who is an illegal immigrant who was supposed to leave in 2013. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well, and I'm pretty sure people want to see what's going on with this story.
New tonight, we are learning more about the immigration enforcement at a Tempe house over the weekend when an Iranian man and his wife, who is a U.S. citizen, were taken into custody.
The couple was among a list of 11 Iranian nationals ICE detained on charges of living here in the U.S. illegally.
Okay, before we talk about the husband and wife, let me clear up some confusion. On June 22nd, there was a mission throughout the entire United States to target Iranian nationals who were not supposed to be in the United States. This specific operation happened in Tempe, Arizona. However, this was part of a broader operation. This is the one, though, that really stuck out because of this.
While agents were at the house, police say that his wife refused to open the door and told them to come back with a warrant. Investigators say when Tempe police showed up, she threatened to shoot anyone who tried to come into her home and would also open fire on agents outside.
Yeah, so you can't do that. You'll get in trouble. In fact, when the agents finally were able to go inside the house, here's what they found.
And during a search of the couple's home, Homeland Security says 2 loaded guns were found inside. The man faces up to 15 years in prison. His wife faces up to 10. The couple will be sentenced in November.
Less than 24 hours ago, I made a YouTube video where somebody made a threat on the internet, and they are also facing very big consequences. What we are seeing today is if you make a threat towards Homeland Security agents or other agents trying to do these deportation raids, you're going to face maximum consequences.
Well, Krive, Troy, neighbors tell me they saw officials at this Tempe home on several occasions leading up to Sunday when the arrest happened. That's when they say federal agents filled their street demanding the couple come out of their home, saying they had a warrant.
Before we continue, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can keep you guys updated with stories just like this. We are seeing more and more American citizens who are being arrested or charged for threatening ICE agents. There's like a backlog who are now all popping up. I want to make sure you guys are up to date on all of those stories, so make sure to please subscribe. I don't know if you caught this detail, but the federal agent showed up multiple times to the house because the wife threatened to take them out, even though they showed up lawfully, and this is why they showed up in full force.
This is police with a warrant. Come to the front door with your hands up.
The home is where ICE says an Iranian man, 40-year-old Mehrzad Asadi Eidivand, was living with his wife, 37-year-old Linet Vartannians. Asadi Eidivand was arrested on a final order of removal.
Okay, finally we can move on to the husband, but here's where things get interesting. Remember, the wife, she's the one who threatened federal agents to take them out, whether they come in the house or they stand outside the house. However, technically, she did not own the firearms. Mehrzad did, an illegal immigrant. That's illegal in itself.
ICE says Asadi Eidivand came to the United States in 2012 and was granted voluntary departure in 2013, but he never left. 12 News obtained court records showing Asadi Eidivand later trying to appeal his immigration case, but it was denied by a judge. He's now incarcerated pending removal proceedings.
Okay, this is Barack Obama for any of the youngsters watching the video. He was the president back in 2012. And just a quick reminder, during the Obama administration, immigration. Illegal immigration, it was still an issue for the country. Many people questioned what was the most humane way and secure way to protect the southern border. But back during the Obama era, many illegal immigrants entered the country. We also had a lot of asylum seekers, but they were coming from all over, not only from Mexico. As you can see, the case we're talking about today, he was from Iran.
Obtained court records showing Asadi Eidivand later trying to appeal his immigration case, but it was denied by a judge. He's now incarcerated pending removal proceedings. His wife, Vartannian, who is a U.S. citizen, is also behind bars, and we're told she will face federal charges. An ICE spokesperson says she's accused of harboring her husband and threatening to ICE officers if they entered her home.
Okay, so this is a very big deal. I cannot think of other spouses or family members who are being accused or charged of harboring an illegal immigrant. You typically don't see that. So what this means is that the federal government, they are going after like every single charge they can with the wife. But as far as the husband, this is all proven within the DOJ document. They even talk about how he came in the country in 2012. He was supposed to leave in 2013. He tried to appeal the decision and he just stayed in the country, which is why the wife is also being accused and charged with harboring an illegal immigrant. Okay, so that news segment made it seem like this appeals document was put in within a timely manner. This is from 2016, this appeals document. Something else I want to point out, and I don't know why he did this, the illegal immigrant we're talking about from Iran, he actually did put in for asylum, but he withdrew the asylum and he requested voluntarily to self-deport. But obviously he didn't do any of the above, he stayed in the country. Okay, so here's where things get interesting. He was allowed to self-deport from the country of the United States, and he never did. So he was told, okay, you didn't leave in this voluntary period, now you are being forced out of the country. This little highlighted section talks about where the reason why he didn't leave. He says the judge doesn't have the authority to tell him now he has to leave, and also he is blaming his lawyer for not giving him the proper information. You guys can go through this entire document if you want to. You can take a screenshot, go look this up. There's a bunch of interesting stuff, but at the end of the day, what this all comes down to is the judge who oversaw this appeal straight up said, denied, everything you're saying, is not true, doesn't line up with the process of the United States. You have to leave the country. So even back in 2016, he was told he has to leave, but he still didn't leave.
Asadi Eidivand's brother, Mehrzad Asadi Eidivand, is also in ICE custody. He was arrested on May 31st.
This is something that I believe is now targeted towards his nationality.
His attorney, Rebecca Cheeves, tells me Mehrzad came to the United States seeking asylum from Iran in 2022.
I told you guys, there's a lot of layers to this story. Now we're moving on to the brother of the husband. This is him right here. Now, he did try to seek asylum. This is under the Biden administration in 2022. He was not officially granted asylum. However, this did happen.
He came into this country legally. He presented himself to the border legally. He was admitted into the country by ICE and then granted a bond and given permission to stay and given a work permit and had not done anything illegal while he was here since 2022.
Okay, so here's where things get interesting about his case. He technically cannot be deported, but he can be detained. I cannot find why Homeland Security has detained him. No public information was released. So unlike his brother, he actually has been accepted to have an asylum hearing case in 2026. So he can't be deported. Nonetheless, though, he has been detained. So there are still some questions as to why he has been detained.
12 News found Mehrzad went on a hunger strike earlier this month, starving himself to the point that the government requested a court order to force feed him in early June. New records show he began a second hunger strike, refusing to eat and drinking little water. The government is again seeking permission to force feed him. The records show it's in his effort to be released or to have his case heard by an immigration judge.
Okay, so remember, on June 22nd, you had that mission to go after Iranian nationals who were not supposed to be in the country country legally. That was the initial operation on June 22nd, and that's where you had the wife and the husband we talked about at the beginning of the video. That's that whole thing. However, the man you see on the screen, the brother, he was arrested on May 31st, which is before June 22nd. So I don't know if there was another mission during May to go after Iranian nationals. I have no idea. I'm just trying to show you guys, every once in a while I find these cases that stand out and we don't have all of the details. Now, typically Homeland Security does come out and say, by the way, this man did something wrong, but we don't have any of that. Right now, what I can see is, technically speaking, he legally can technically be in the country, he cannot be deported, and now he's been doing these hunger strikes trying to get attention to the story, and to be honest with you, it got my attention.
I told him I can understand why you're doing what you're doing, but I cannot advise you not to eat.
And his attorney tells me she saw Mehrzad today in Florence and said he cried when she told him of his brother's arrest over the weekend. I asked if she planned to represent his brother and sister-in-law as well, and she said she has yet to locate them. I asked an ICE spokesperson if these 11 arrests that happened nationwide were prioritized due to recent tension between Iran and the United States, but they did not immediately provide a response. In the newsroom, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
So look, please don't take this as me criticizing Homeland Security. I am just asking questions. I cover stories like this every single day, and 99% of the time I get all of the details I need and everything makes sense typically with these stories. But as far as this story right here with this man, this might be one of the first times in a while I don't see all of the details. We don't know why Homeland Security won't release the details. No idea. I might have to make a phone call myself, and maybe I have to call Tom Homan and figure out what's going on. Anyway, so for real, I have no idea what's going on here. I am going to follow up if I find anything, so make sure to please subscribe.
We begin tonight with the arrest of Iranian nationals, 11 arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in 48 hours. It is the continuation of the administration's effort to deport migrants it claims are a threat to public safety. Homeland Security correspondent Nicole Skanga joins me now. Nicole, what do we...
Now again, what I do want to point out is when this nationwide mission happened, yes, it was only 11 Iranian nationals, but the significance to this story is that they were all Iranian, and that was like the big report.
Know about these 11 who were arrested?
Yeah, John, among these Iranian foreign nationals, 11 men arrested in 9 cities in 8 states over, you said it, 48 hours. And the targeted operations began on Sunday. Now, 5 of those detained by ICE have previous criminal convictions. 3 of these really stood out to me. ICE officials allege Ribvar Karimi is a former Iranian army sniper. And when federal agents arrested him near Atlanta, he was carrying, get this, an Islamic Republic of Iran Army identification card.
Yeah, so something I do want to point out with this mission, what it shows is that Homeland Security, they're not just doing these deportations just to do them because Donald Trump said so. When we get into the territory of adversaries, this is a complex and new mission for Homeland, because if it's people from China, people from Iran, we're talking about adversarial countries. So there's an assumption here that these men could be credible threats to the United States beyond just being an illegal immigrant. Who knows what these men could have done, which is why when we're talking about adversarial countries, this is a completely different topic than somebody who's just trying to maybe work in front of Home Depot, run a taco stand, run a fish stand. This is not that.
Now, Yusef Meridano was arrested in central Mississippi just 4 months after he appeared on the National Counterterrorism Center's known or suspected watch list. And authorities say 56-year-old Mehran Makari Saheli is a former Islamic member with admitted connections to Hezbollah. He was convicted of being a felon in possession of a firearm in Minneapolis, where he was sentenced to 15 months in prison formerly, and an immigration judge ordered him removed in June of 2022. But he remained in the U.S. illegally, that is, until authorities took him in the St. Paul area on Sunday.
So again, this is like a common theme we keep hearing in a lot of my stories I cover on my channel. You were told you have to leave the country, but they don't leave. And then when you look into, hey, why are you still in this country? What are you doing here? I think the new stat is up to 70% from Stephen Miller or Tom Homan, where 70% of people who stay in the country illegally have criminal charges. So within this group of Iranians, you can see we have some ties to some pretty bad organizations. And then the man we talked about at the beginning of the video, he just never left the country. So I do find it interesting that they did this mission to target Iranians. Some just stayed in the country. Some, maybe they had some very bad intentions.
Monday.
Nicole, you mentioned this started on Sunday. That's also when the military campaign started against Iran. Connection?
Yeah, that's right. And this is also when DHS activated its National Terrorism Advisory System that warns against retaliatory violence here in the homeland, and Iranian-sponsored or even inspired attacks are really a concern among intel officials I've been speaking with. To be clear, John, ICE officials did not tie any of these men to a specific credible plot against the United States. Instead, they said all of those arrested had criminal charges or convictions, meaning they were not just here in the U.S. illegally, and alleged they represented a threat to public safety. ICE officials have framed these targeted operations as part of the Trump administration.
I will let you guys leave your comments down below how you feel about this. I'm just going to be honest, I do find it interesting that ICE is saying this, but they all happen to be Iranian. I don't know if that's a coincidence, but again, as somebody who follows these deportations, you typically don't get one nationality within the same week of a country, you know, where we're butting heads with. And I will leave it at that. That's just what I have to say about it. You don't see this too often, again, as somebody who covers this every single day. I am curious if ICE behind the scenes are like, hey, we got to go after foreign adversary targets who we know have criminal convictions and have ties to the adversarial state of Iran. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, this was a multi-layered type video, a lot of different connections going on. I will make sure to keep you guys updated with this story if anything comes out of it. But I think what's very important about this story is that we might start seeing legal American citizens who are married to illegal citizens who are not supposed to be here or were told to leave. We might start seeing more cases like this where you get accused or charged for harboring, which is a very serious crime. So thank you guys so much for being here. God bless, and we'll see you all later. Thank you so much.